Alright, so this is an experiment. I'm recording video, but it's completely dark in here, so it's not going to pick up anything. I am in the process of putting Loki to sleep. And it tends to take a while. He sleeps next to us. We have 2 mattresses on the floor, ours and his, and there's kind of a few other crib mattresses kind of scattered around, because when he was younger, we needed to kind of have a gradual stepping down. But now that he's older, he just plays with them. So we keep it up because he likes it. But this is the sleeping arrangement that we've found works best for him. And what works best isn't like really working, but it's working better than anything else, so we're just rolling with it. Definitely finding a lot of parenthood is like that, where there's how I would like it to be, and then there's what actually works, or at least halfway works, and that's what we have to end up going with. So he likes to hear the sound of our voices chatting as he falls asleep, and it can take him like an hour or so, give or take. Sometimes a few hours, sometimes as little as half an hour, to actually go through this process of falling asleep. So currently he's nursing and he's kicking and kind of throwing himself around. We call it grounding. He's very sensory seeking is what they call it, when you actually crave sensory input. In this case, especially touch. He just likes to kind of slam himself around, and he's not like upset or tantruming. He just finds it relaxing to throw himself into things, including me. So it can be a little painful at times, a lot painful at times, but you know, he doesn't mean anything by it, and this is what he finds comforting. So yeah, so I try to tolerate it as best I can. You know, stop him from hurting me too badly, but at least we try to. But I definitely still have a bunch of bruises, for sure. So usually he has Lim and I putting him to sleep, but Lim is DMing a D&D game tonight, so I figured I would turn on the camera and just see if I could record kind of a snippet of what our life is like right now, and in hopes that maybe one of these nights I could even just play this and he would fall asleep to the sound of my voice. So it's just an experiment. We're constantly just kind of feeling out what might work. Oh, honey, that hurts. I know. So he's pretty wound up. It's tricky. When you miss their sleep window, then they tend to get a second wind. They say, I know that's Mama's phone. Isn't it cool? Yep, my phone's putting out a little bit of light. And he sees it. There we go, honey. But yeah, they say if you miss their sleep window by as little as even just 15 minutes, then they get a big dump of cortisol in their system. Oh, yes, honey. And because the body is like, oh, if we're not going to fall asleep, then here's a bunch of cortisol so that you can stay awake. And then he tends to be up for another several hours. So we missed a sleep window, and we're just kind of seeing if we can make it happen now. It's pretty late. I think it's around 10 o'clock by now. the clock fell down because I spilled a huge glass of water. He's doing what we call woodpeckering right now. It's just our name for it. I don't know what it's actually called. But where he just slams his mouth into me as hard as possible repeatedly. I think he's teething when he does that, but he also does it when we've just given him Tylenol, so I'm not sure. Oh! Yes, honey. Alright, he managed to get his hands on my earbuds case and whacked it into my teeth and my lip. I try really hard to not react like against him when he accidentally hurts me. I will stop him from hurting me, and I will still like yelp in pain if I can't help it. But if I yelp really loud, he actually gets super concerned and tries to comfort me, and he will cry. So I try to mute my reaction as much as I can. I think it's a good lesson for him to learn that if you hurt someone that they cry, but I feel no need to exaggerate that. Right now, I can tell he's starting to get frustrated that he's not falling asleep, and I know that he really wants to. So I just try to hold space for him and just kind of be here for him. You know, he just hates being alone, especially for the falling asleep process. So, you know, we tried a lot of different methods, including like more gradual versions of Cry It Out and even full extinction Cry It Out, and it went really badly. I know it works great for some babies and for some families, but we discovered that it's really not a great fit for him. And it was so traumatic that obviously it wasn't a good fit for us either, for our family as a whole. So, yeah, even though what we're doing is hard, it just feels like it's the best fit for him. So, you know, we just keep at it. You know, our commitment is to him, and, you know, secondarily, you know, our commitment is to ourselves. And so, you know, if something's working for him and it's not really working for us, like, at least we know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, and that's just my philosophy. I know a lot of people feel differently. You know, a lot of people have told me, but your mental health matters too, you know, like, your sleep matters too. And I mean, I agree it does matter, but if yes, honey, but if it comes to needing to make a choice between his mental health and my mental health, he is still a baby, and he does not have all the additional resources that I have. You know, he cannot call up a friend and when he's having a bad day, or talk to his therapist, or, you know, or like, he doesn't have, you know, he can't hop on a video game real quick, or drink something sweet to help cheer him up, or, you know, watch a funny movie. Like, he doesn't have all of these mental health resources that I have, because he's so young. And so, yeah, I am going to prioritize him above myself. And, you know, I will do what I can to also manage my own mental health. But, you know, I'm not going to just kind of decide, I need this, so you're going to suffer. Just philosophically, I don't feel that's right. And I'm not going to judge any other parents that get to that point. I have definitely been in some really, really dark places, with, you know, getting almost no sleep and having a very high needs, high maintenance child. So I don't judge other parents that get to that point, that are just like, I cannot respond to his cries right now, he's going to have to cry it out. Like, I don't feel like that's ideal, but I can see how parents get to that point. And the only thing that has kept me from that has been having the resources I have, being so lucky to have a husband that's able to stay at home as well, and my mom coming several times a week to help out. It really has been the work of a village to try to give this kid the best that we know how. And even the people that aren't able to help directly are helping by supporting me virtually, and that means a ton to me. So, man, you're okay. I know, you lost it. It's over here. There you go, sweetheart. So, he is way different than we were anticipating. I was really thinking that with all the attachment stuff and all like the meditative stuff and all the work I had done on myself and you know, and us like preparing our lives so that we'd both be able to stay home with him and have a really stable, supportive environment. Like, I really thought that we would have a chill, relaxed baby. Like, I really thought if I did my homework enough and I was creative enough and educated enough that I would, you know, knowledgeable enough about different techniques that I would be able to have a fairly easy, minimal crying, you know, experience with the baby. And it's really humbling when that's not the case. Like, you really think, you know, okay, I've got this. Like, I'm all prepared, you know, and it really shows you all the backwards thinking, you know, that I was doing of like, oh yeah, the moms where their babies are crying all the time, and, you know, well, those moms are really uptight, you know, so it's their fault, you know. And then here I am experiencing that myself, and I'm like, ooh, you know, way to be humbled, definitely. I've had a lot of people throw a lot of suggestions at me, and it's really shocking when none of it works. And you're kind of left with, okay, I have this amazing and incredibly active, incredibly inquisitive, loving, happy person in front of me, this little person that craves stimulation so badly that he will cry of boredom many times a day, and he will get so frustrated, and he just has a lot of needs. He has more needs than the average toddler. And it's like, okay, I am gonna be not getting even an hour of sleep at a time. And during the day, there will be days when I don't even get 5 minutes to myself. It is very common that the most time I get to myself is an hour during the day, because he is so high maintenance and he struggles to self-entertain. And so, you know, you kind of take stock and you're like, this is my situation where I am being drained of everything I have to give and more. At the end of every day, I'm completely exhausted, and then I'm up most of the night as well. And it's like, all right, but what are you going to do? What do you do differently? We enlist a lot of help. We try to simplify our lives as much as possible so that we're not overly complicating things. We buy a ton of snacks because it's really hard to do meals. And you just keep going. You just keep going and you do the best you can. And man, when I see how he trusts us because we're so responsive to him and his communication, that makes me feel like we're going the right direction. He'll talk to us now instead of just tantruming. He'll talk to us like by babbling. He gestures with his hand and he'll babble and he'll look from us to the thing that he wants. Or like if he wants to go outside, he'll bring us our shoes. He's very clear at communicating, and I feel like we have a really good kind of working connection between, what he wants, and, we can't always do what he wants, and that's hard for him, but I feel like we have such good communication that he is able to accept more often than not that this is just how things have to be right now. So there's a lot of things that I feel like we're doing right. And I won't lie, there's always going to be this voice in the back of my head that's like, okay, but he's not even sleeping an hour or two straight at night. So you must be doing something wrong. There must be something more that you can do. Because this just doesn't happen. I had never heard of this happening. He's 15 months old right now. And I had thought this was just kind of like a short-term phase that happens kind of during some of the newborn times and also during sleep regressions or teething, I had never heard of a baby and toddler that just keeps waking. A lot of my friends that have kids were like, oh yeah, we started sleeping through the night at like 6 months. And it definitely has this feel of like, what am I doing that is so wrong that this is happening? But even though it's a voice in the back of my head, I've also since discovered that I'm not alone, that there are other families experiencing this. And it's my first really big lesson in that, Loki is his own person. He really is. He's completely 100% his own person. And I might not have as much influence on him as maybe sometimes I wish I had. And that's okay. That how he is not necessarily a direct reflection on me or on my parenting skills, but that my job is to accept him as he is and nurture him in all of his uniqueness, and to just love on him and embrace him and say, you know what, in my eyes you're good, in my eyes you're amazing. And not just in my eyes, like I think he's amazing in the whole world's eyes, but my eyes are the ones that he looks into for that confirmation right now, and it just melts me. Yes, honey. He's starting to pass out now. So, I just wanted to share. These times are so precious, even though they're exhausting. Sometimes I still hold him a few minutes longer before I transfer him down. It's when he is asleep on me that I can really feel, like, sink into that feeling of how precious he is and how sweet these moments are. When he's twisting and pinching and biting and slamming himself into me, it's a little harder to feel that sentimentality of the moment. And it's very common for him to draw blood. It's pretty it's pretty shocking to us sometimes. But in these moments, he's asleep on my chest, and he is just so blissed out. And I mean, to him, like, there's just nothing better than being asleep on Mama. And that's when I'm just like, okay, alright, I'm doing something right. I'm doing something right to get to experience this. So, I'll leave you with that.